Will the virtuous Sangha, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tận tình, vì thứ pháp vội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh, tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân, giáo đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đắc lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sananto Suche Doye Olahodi San Miao San Puto Xie. Nam mô Tát Đắc Tha Tô Già Đà Gia A La Ha Đề Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it, about to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa, bai jian wan jian an zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Qingliang, Venerable Shenhua, Venerable Love-Home people, and all good no advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、净量大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Thật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư, Ngài Tiên Hóa, quý vị xuất gia, quý vị thầy cô, quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 24th of July 2021. We are gathered here to continue discussing the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra written by Master Qingliang. the foremost authority on the topic. So I don't know about the rest of you, but here in Rosemead, it's about, right now, it's close to 100 degrees inside. So we're all baking. And that's no wonder. I was hoping no one shows up so that I can have an excuse and go to the beach. But since you're here, you brave souls are here, apparently we are not afraid to face the heat. So let's go for it. We are on slide 31 in a prologue text discussing door number 1. We're talking about the number 7 classification by category, chapter, and assembly. So this refers to how the Master Qingyang would organize or subdivide or classify the Avatamsaka Sutra by category, by chapter, and by assembly. And you go into those very shortly. So this man here, this great monk here, is the foremost authority on the subject. That's why it's very useful to go through how he analyzes, how he would dissect this particular sutra. So, in other words, how he would dissect the wisdom involved in this particular sutra. Okay? First of all, you can classify the sutra text by category. Category here refers to the Bu, 12 Bu. Okay, the 12 canonical categories. They are all 12 are: number 1, prose; number 2, repetitive verses; number 3, predictions; and then number 4, interjections; 5, spontaneous speaking unrequested; number 6, causes and conditions; number 7, analogies; and number 8, past lives deeds; number 9 is deeds of present life; number 10 is expansion; number 11 is what was hitherto unknown; and number 12, explanations. Okay, so this is to follow the original Chinese verses that they have to help people memorize the 12 categories. Okay, let's go through them briefly. So you find these throughout the Avatamsaka Sutra. Number 1 is prose. Prose is basically the text itself, the regular text itself. Okay, like how we write a letter. I write letter in proses, at least normal people. Okay, so those are just the regular text. So it's called prose. And whenever there are some important things he wants to emphasize, the Buddhas want to emphasize, or the Bodhisattvas want to emphasize, then they resort to the repetitive verses, okay? Meaning that they would repeat the teachings from a different perspective, but using verses, so it's kind of literary, so it's rather embellished, all right? So that's why the repetitive verses sometimes are more inspirational than the prose itself, okay? Some people are more turned on by the repetitive verses instead of the prose. But they work together in order to convey the profound teaching by the Buddha. In particular, you find that this is so ingenious because sometimes when, as a teacher, I find myself having to repeat, but I don't have at my disposal the repetitive verses that these great sages would have. So you see, this arises from the wisdom of the Buddhas. Okay? Meaning that we normally we can convey our mind, express ourselves through proses, but to compose verses, that's a lot more demanding, a lot more intellectual. And in particular, I don't know of that many monks or nuns who can do this. Master YongHua is one of them. Okay, he frequently composed verses to convey his teaching. In particular, when he explained the Heart Sutra, which is the core of the heart of the Prajna teaching by the Buddha, he explained that by verses, primarily by verses. So he would compose some verses, and then he would elaborate on those verses. So it's quite a treat. Okay, so it shows that his literary skill. So someone whose education level is about 8th grade, as of today's, from following today's standards, 8th grade, and yet he's so skilled. He can be so literary. Okay, so it shows that the kind of wisdom there, his wisdom manifests. Okay, to the point where, because of this Chinese tradition, many Asians, monks and nuns, try to imitate them, try to demonstrate their superior wisdom by composing verses themselves, which unfortunately don't have the same kind of effect to me personally. So, and in fact, many Master YongHua's disciples try to do the same thing. They try to compose verses, and they also failed miserably as well. To me, this is a bunch of nonsense. Okay. Furthermore, I explained the Heart Sutra myself like 10 years ago, and didn't follow the verses composed by Master YongHua, but in a way is a good thing, because it's not the same kind of depth, if you will, that you will find in the Avatamsaka Sutra, meaning that when the Buddha uses the prose to record the teachings, and they're followed by the repetitive verses, they are extraordinary. They're incredibly profound. Okay. All right. So, and they're so easy to understand compared to Master YongHua's verses in the Heart Sutra. They're not easy to understand. So you see, the genius of these, of the prose and the repetitive verses, is that in the way they're structured and the way they're written, that is so simple for you to understand, and that's one of the characteristics of great wisdom. Why is it called great wisdom? Why is it called great wisdom? Yes, lithic. Two, sorry.
Because it's unparalleled and it's the absolute truth.
Okay, very good. That's great wisdom. What about the great wisdom? Great wisdom has many levels. We're talking about the Buddha's level where unsurpassed great wisdom. Yes, Lithik.
I guess the Buddha's great wisdom can't really be described or even really pointed to, but we can do our best to learn about it by listening to great master Qing Liang and reading the Avatamsaka Sutra. But I don't think that is the Buddha's great wisdom, because the Buddha's great wisdom can't really be put into words or in anything.
Okay. Anyone else? Why is it called great wisdom? It's called great wisdom because it can illuminate the minds of a great multitudes. Does it make sense? You go to universities, in academia, people of great learning. What do they tend to do? They tend to talk, explain things using a lot of jargons, okay? Using a lot of vocabulary that we don't get. The same thing, and these people graduate and they get a PhD, they go to work, and they go into the working environment. What do? Same thing. They repeat the same thing. They throw technical words at you. They throw jargons at you so that you say, huh? What is that? Okay? And that's how they demonstrate their superior intellect. Is that great wisdom? No, it's intellectual wisdom. They're trying too hard to impress people. Okay? There's a difference between trying to impress people, trying to demonstrate your superior intellect, versus trying to teach, trying to help. You're not trying to prove anything. You're trying to teach people. You're trying to light up the dark corners in people's minds. And that's why great wisdom, that's the function of great wisdom. Great wisdom is able to do that. So the great wisdom can connect from low level to high level as well. Yes? So if you use only jargons, only use technical stuff, you use intellectual vocabulary, then you appeal to the intellect. That's it. You cannot help the low level like us. Okay? That cannot be called wisdom. Okay, you're self-serving here. You say, I speak this way because only I and people of my intellect caliber, my intellectual level, can understand it. Okay? And because the rest of you can't. So we prove so. Whereas the attempt of speaking Dharma from the Buddhas and the great Bodhisattvas is to help all of us. Okay? People who are educated as well as people who are uneducated. Buddhists as well as non-Buddhists alike. Okay? Wisdom is not just for the Buddhists, but it's for the other. Let's be polite here. Okay, the others as well. Okay, so, and that's the nature of great wisdom. Great wisdom, that's what's so impressive to me. I couldn't understand why I first got into Buddhism. I was so drawn to Master Hsuen's style of speaking Dharma. He rarely spoke using technical jargons. He used very simple words to explain Chan, to explain Pure Land, to explain the Avatamsaka Sutra even. You look at his explanation of this sutra, it's very rare. He stays away. He rarely uses technical jargons, okay? So that's attractive to me because for an idiot like me, when I first started, it's attractive because I read it and I could understand it. It was not a total waste of my time and say, no, this is way beyond me. Avatamsaka Sutra is not for me, okay? Whereas I read it, it's like, wow, I can understand this. Okay, so that's great wisdom right there, because it can teach idiots like me. Okay, so that's the difference between the level of wisdoms. Okay, so these repetitive verses are beautiful in that they use simple words, and yet because of their nature of the verses, they have so many different layers of depth. Intellectual people see it differently, and not so highly educated people can still understand it as well. Okay, get it at their level. So I love repetitive verses in this sutra. Okay. And it's not the same, by the way, going back to my example citation of Master Hsuan explanation, the Heart Sutra. He doesn't have the combination of prose and repetitive verses. He only have the verses, okay, when he explained the Heart Sutra, okay, and which I myself was a little bit turned off initially because I didn't understand it. It bothered me greatly, okay, so it stayed that way when I explained the sutra, because I refused to look at the repetitive verses. I mean, his verses. Okay? Number 3, predictions. Okay, so you see the prose and repetitive verses serve in unison. They deployed in unison in order to add more depth as well as include more people, okay, and stress the teaching points. Okay, they're beautiful in this particular sutra. Predictions. This is what Buddhas and people of wisdom do. In particular, Buddhas, one of the Buddha's jobs. YouTube, go ahead. There's a question here.
Pingdan Qingjing asks, Master, what level of enlightenment does it take for someone to be able to explain to people using simple words?
Well, I saw some pretty high bodhisattvas trying to explain this in English. So apparently there is a certain level where you begin to be able to do that. So when you get there, you certainly will speak like that, like Master Hsuan. How's that? Okay. Now, number 3, predictions. Predictions are the things that Buddhas are known to do. In particular, it is a great honor for us Buddhists. Okay, it's only for the Buddhists, by the way. Okay, Buddhists rarely give predictions to non-Buddhists. So the Buddha would rub the crowns of his disciples and give them a prediction. He said, you in the future, in a distant kalpa named so-and-so, you become a Buddha by the name so-and-so. Your lifespan will be so long. Your Dharma will last so long in the world. And you save so many people for becoming a Buddha at that time, and so forth. That's called a prediction. What for? to help the Buddhas. Why else? No? Not just the Buddhas. Yeah? You look at the times when the Buddhas gave predictions. Shakyamuni Buddha gave prediction to his disciples, especially you find that in the Lotus Sutra. Okay, you see a bunch of them. In Lotus Sutra, it says, Shariputra, in the future, you become a Buddha by this name. Okay, and then Mahamoggallana, in the future, you become a Buddha by that name, and so forth. So he listed, he gave prediction to his disciples. And the lesson you should take from that, since I will not be explaining the Lotus Sutra, is that he gave predictions to his devoted followers. Why? Why? To reward them, to encourage them. Don't give up hope. You're on the right path. And you will definitely become a Buddha, for sure. Okay? Because the Buddha sees it already. He says, okay, where you are right now with the seeds you're planting, and we'll plant more seeds down the road and so forth. And eventually, at that time, they all will come to fruition. So, keep up the good work. Okay? So that's why the predictions are designed to encourage his followers, okay, to be even more vigorous. Okay? He says, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, this is hard work, because the Buddhist path is very arduous, very demanding. There's no other ways to describe it. You cannot become a Buddha by taking it easy, by loafing, by scheming, all those things. It's hard work. It's a lot of vigor, it's a lot of hardships, and it's a non-easy road. And that's why even his devoted disciples become impatient. And he says, I've been working so hard. Why is it taking so long? So the Buddha says, don't worry. Down the road, you will become a Buddha yourself. You're on the right path. Okay? Keep it up. All right? That's why there are predictions. Next, there are interjections. Interjections, by definition, are guqi, meaning that they just stand alone. The teachings stand alone. They're connected to not before, to after. This is there by themselves. Okay? They're not connected at all. There's no transition. They're not meant to be transition from previous section to next section. It's just there by itself. Okay? Okay? So you could say, by the way, so and so. It's like a digression, if you will. Okay? It's there. All right? Yes. Number 2.
Does that mean anywhere you open up in the sutra, it would make sense because it's spontaneous, and you wouldn't need to know any of the rest of the sutra to understand, or to kind of, understand what he's saying when he's at that one little part?
Yeah, in theory, that's it. But when I look at these things, I look at from the perspective, why does the Buddha use interjections? You can classify them all you want, but to me, my personal interest is why would you want to do that from a teacher perspective? After the Buddha taught everything, and Jing Liang, great master Jing Liang, went through that and said, the great sages went through all the Buddha's teachings and said, there's something called repetitive verses, their proses, their interjections, their predictions, and so forth. Those are important categories, the way that the Buddha chose to teach, used to teach. Okay, these are the techniques of teaching. So why would he use interjections? No one ever asked that. I have to ask myself because I don't expect you to ask, because Master Shiva kept on talking about these 12 categories, but no one ever asked, why would you use interjection? Why would you use repetitive verses and so forth? Why did the Buddha do? Why did he do that? There's a few hands here. Okay, let's try number 9.
Master, I wonder if it's because it has to do with the right causes and conditions.
Right causes and conditions, yes. Number 2. These numbers are cute because they remind me of different TV channels. So he's from KCBS in LA, she's from KCAL, and that's from KABC. Okay, so I can, now we have nicknames. CBS, KCAL, ABC. Yes. CBS.
Probably because, if you stay on one topic too long, then maybe your mind starts getting attached to it and starts thinking about it. But if you interject a different topic, then it switches and it takes you out of the constant thinking mode. It's possible.
It's a good thing he's not a Buddha. ABC.
Could it be to keep that person in the correct path, or to keep him more focused?
Okay, very original. Anyone else? Why? Okay, very simple. Interjection is as he's in the midst of talking about something, right? He's talking about enlightenment. Okay? He's talking about, how you become enlightened, what enlightenment is about. Then he looked at ABC. Okay? And he realized that enlightenment is not for ABC. So what to do? KABC is falling asleep. Okay? So Buddha immediately says, by the way, God says so and so and so. And ABC, God? Yes. Okay? You see? So it's a teaching too. But it's done in order to include KABC. Otherwise, KABC would be lost in its whole thing. Does it make sense? It's out of compassion. See how beautiful it is. And he's still able to integrate KABC's interest to the topic as well. With that, so the interjection is actually directed at KABC, not us. You see? But for us overall, okay, for the future, to us is a complete instruction because, why? Because he teaches high level versus losers as well. I mean, in general, as a principle. You know what I mean? Thank you. it's important. Yes, it's so difficult to say the truth without offending people. Yes. Does it help? So interjections are he's right, cause and condition, because right there is a good time to teach him, to help him, okay? In the context out of compassion, and yet it's still part of the great teaching. Does it make sense? Spontaneous speaking without being requested. This is special category that is exemplified by the what? Yes, Lithic.
The Amitabha Sutra was spoken without being requested.
Exactly, precisely. That's the example of the Dharma that Shakyamuni Buddha spoke without being requested. When he spoke that sutra, he got on the Dharma seat, and looked at the audience. He says, today I'm going to have to speak to them about this Pure Land Dharma. Okay? Because of the people present there. Okay? Kings and queens, arhats, and bodhisattvas. He realized that it's time to teach people about this particular Dharma called Pure Land Dharma. However, typically in Buddhism, the Dharma must be requested before it's spoken. Okay? You have, in other words, ask for it. If you didn't ask for it, you will not get it. Okay? Because why is that, by the way? Why is it the case in Buddhism that the Dharma must be requested? It's not like we can go to city A and start, building a platform, stand up there and say, hey, we should rise up and change the law of the country to take care of DACA, okay, or black people, and so forth. That is to speak Dharma without being requested. Agree? Is that clear? In Buddhism, we don't do that. In Buddhism, you have to request the Dharma for it to be spoken. That's a huge difference between Buddhist teaching versus non-Buddhist teachings. You have to request it. Okay? However, in this case here, in the Amitabha Sutra, at that time, the Buddha says, what I'm going to speak about. Okay? So he decided, Pure Land Dharma. Okay? Why? Yes.
Probably because if he didn't speak it, then nobody would have requested it because nobody really knew about it before he spoke about it.
Yeah, precisely. It's spoken this way, unrequested, because people usually it's a setup. In Buddhism, it's a setup. Okay, someone pretends to request the Dharma. The Buddha will honor one. Please, I don't understand about this. Please explain it out of compassion. Please explain it to us. So this person there, the requester, pretends not to understand, but actually he's actually representing a group of people that don't understand. They have that need. So that's why usually those great bodhisattvas, okay, would looking at the assembly, at the audience, then this bodhisattva, she realizes that these people have this need to learn about this particular Dharma of the heavenly Dharma, for example, or Dharma of filial piety. and so forth, because of the people who were present at the assembly. Okay, so these bodhisattvas would examine, look at the assembly, and then request the Dharma that's appropriate for the assembly. Okay, believe it or not, Buddhas back then are pressed for time as well. Back then, you don't ever assume, you cannot think that nowadays this stress and time is any more precious than in the past. Actually, it's not. Okay, in the past, people don't waste, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas don't waste people's times either. Okay, they have tremendous respect for you. They don't want to waste your time. So when you make the effort to come, physically come, okay, then the Buddha spoken, the Dharma spoken must somehow be a benefit to all of the people there. All right? So that's why in particular here, he saw these people who were there at the Pure Land Dharma Assembly, who have this need to learn about this particular Pure Land Dharma, but no one knew its existence, so he decided to speak of it without being requested, okay, out of compassion. Next, there are some causes and conditions, okay, they're important, to speak, very important for the teacher to make the connection between causes and conditions. Okay? Why? Because in doing so, you are helping people develop wisdom. Wisdom ultimately is to be able to make the connection between causes and conditions. Cause and conditions. Okay? So you make a connection between cause and conditions with the particular happening. Okay? In particular, especially the Buddhas are, they excel at being able to explain the causes and conditions for something that happens. Okay? In doing so, okay, it appeals to our thirst for understanding. Right? Don't you want to understand? Don't you want to know why God yells at you? Why God doesn't bring you to His heaven? And so forth. Okay? So you have that thirst right there. Okay? And that's why the cause and conditions help develop wisdom. Okay? Analogies. Next, analogies. Analogies are the quintessential excellence of the Buddhas. The Buddhas are best at using analogies. Okay, he's incomparable in terms of using analogies to explain profound principles. Okay, so that's why most of the Buddhist sutras you will find a lot of analogies that the Buddha used, and you find how sublime they are to me personally. There are some areas where I disagree with them because of the difference in times and my inclinations, but most of the analogies the Buddhists use I found to be so fascinating. Okay? Okay, more so than the Chan school. Okay, the Chan school uses analogies too, but the analogies that the Buddhists use in the sutras are a step above that. Okay? That's why they're beautiful. Past life deeds. Past life deeds refers to his stories of how how the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas got here. Okay, so they're easier to understand, and these people like stories. Like I myself love movies, not just stories. I prefer movies over stories. But back then, and that's what you have. So what he does, there are sutras where he actually described his past lives, and it's fascinating because it's a record of how he progressed through the wheel reincarnation. Right there. It's a proof for all of us to see. Okay? It's beautiful. Okay? Look at the kind of details, the kind of accuracy you have. For example, only Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in Buddhism, we have the past stories, past lives of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and why the Buddha had to digress into an animal realm and went to the ghost realm and so forth, so that he eventually became a Bodhisattva and he eventually became a Buddha and so forth. So it's so beautiful to see how all these stories are interwoven and to describe the journeys through the wheel reincarnation. It's fantastic. Okay? And only in Buddhism do you have such details, if you will. Either they are the greatest storytellers, okay, or they're full of it. This is all pulling our legs. So you find out for yourself. Yes, sir. ABC.
Were the stories that were they counting, the stories that were saying, are they actually real? Like they turned into animals and then they went to human realm or whatever? Is that
When became gods and so forth.
And let's not push it. Are their stories real, or according to Buddhism?
Are they what?
Were they real, or just as in a way for telling the story of, or just for telling a story for us to learn?
No, they're real. They actually came from the Quran. Any other questions? Okay? Think about it. Think about it. If you dare say in a prior life, Shariputra was a king fox. Okay? In a prior life, my ex-wife, Suddhodana, was a queen deer. Okay? And what happens when you talk like that? The non-Buddhists say, they're a bunch of animals and ghosts and spirits and so forth. Okay? Think about it. Why would you speak like that and expose your dirty laundry, if you will? Okay? So it shows that they have nothing to hide. And there's a crime, there's a cause and effect on everything that accrued through their journeys. Okay? And that's why when you think about it, if you know someone and you ask them, where are you from? What did you do? And you say, none of your damn business. How can you trust them? Seriously. Were you in the CIA? Were you part of the French resistance? Or were you a Nazi? Are you a commie? If you have something to hide, if there's some holes in your past, you have something to hide. Think about it. And it's also the proof that there is cause and effect. You don't just say, in the beginning, there is... You can't say that, because where is that beginning? When is that beginning? And when how did that thing or that being came about? It just can't come about without a cause. You see? So in Buddhism, we have to be consistent. We claim that Buddha was there. Then we have to say how he got there. Yes? No different. Buddha came from living beings. Okay? Buddhas don't come from thin air at all. Did you know that? Buddhas came from the foxes, came from the cockroaches, came from the ghosts, came from the demons, came from the non-Buddhists. You know, all of them have a chance to become Buddhas. It's such a beautiful, a powerful message. Yes, I got here because in a prior life, I was in the Marines, and before that, I was Air Force. Before that, I was National Guard, Republican Guards in Iran, and so forth. You know, there is a pathway, it's a trajectory. Yes? It's very logical. Yes, Kath.
I mean, I kind of do have a little bit of problem with that. Let's say that if I go by cause and effect and I say, okay, but yes, Buddhas come from the foxes or whatever, or from non-Buddhists and things like that, but when does it start? When is the beginning, or is there no such beginning? That means that we've been going to the way of reincarnation for eternity, or it has a beginning or it has an end?
Let him have it. It's a good question. It's a fair question, but let him have it. Yes, CBS.
Yeah, you said that in the beginning the Buddha was just in his Buddha mind, then he had a false thought, and that's what created the whole universe. I was thinking about that a lot recently.
And what have you come up with?
I think out of all the theories, that's probably the most logical one.
It's not just simply an act of God.
Well, how is there God if there was nothing there before?
Okay, you got it? Of course, he's going to disagree. I know you disagree. Yeah. Anyone else? Again, this is the difference between us Buddhists and non-Buddhists. The non-Buddhists readily believe what they're told. Okay? The Buddhists, we don't. In Buddhism, we encourage skepticism. We encourage you to think for yourself or scheme for yourself. Perfectly okay to scheme for yourself and think for yourself. Okay? Don't be alarmed. We know you. Okay? That's who you are. Okay? Absolutely, don't be afraid. Yes, we know you're scheming and you're plotting and so forth, and we know, but it's okay. It doesn't bother the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas at all. It bothers me a little bit, but the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are impervious to our shortcomings. Okay? Why is that? Interjections. Why is that? Yes. 2.
I don't think the Buddhas have opinions of what we do, but if we ask the Buddhas to help us and are very sincere, then we can make progress. But I don't think to them anything that happens in the world of Marx, actually, the dharmas with the lowercase d, I don't think it actually. I don't think they have any opinion on it.
If you truly have wisdom, you will not judge people. You don't say that you are such a schemy person. You are so ikia. You are so, etc., etc. Buddhists don't differentiate like us. That's why he accepts us all. Whether we are scheming, we are stupid, we are manic, we are totally wacko, they still look at us and say, okay, it's okay, this person is wacko, what can we do? Shove him in a corner, categorize him as, label him as a wacko. We need to tell the Bodhisattva to create an asylum Dharma door so that we can take care of wackos, okay, and so forth. The Buddhists don't reject people. Buddha don't say that, oh, he's so evil, let's kill these demons. Only people want to kill demons. Only people want to are bothered by demons. The real Buddhists, real Bodhisattvas, they're not bothered at all. They say, demons, oh, good, they're so wonderful, they're so evil. Look at them, they're so evil. Or look at these people, oh, they're so pitiful. You know what I mean? They embrace us all. They don't judge at all. Okay, they don't get afflicted. They don't call people spies or devotees or Catholic or Christian or Buddhist and so forth. It's too much discrimination. The Buddhists say, it's okay. What can I do? What kind of interjection I can give these losers? And so forth, And so that's why the Buddhists don't discriminate at all. So what does that have to do with the fact that the beginning, when does it begin, and so forth? What's the difference between Buddhism versus non-Buddhist teachings? The difference in Buddhism versus the others is that we are doing something very stupid, very inadvisable, if you will. If truly our Buddhist teacher, they're doing something that's totally inadvisable. What? What are they doing? The patriarchs are categories of great teachers, authentic teachers. So far, so good. In Buddhism, you're patriarch, you're authentic teacher. You can follow them. You won't get into trouble. Okay? Versus non-patriarchs. Okay? Non-patriarchs, be careful. Be careful. Be careful, because you never know. You know what I mean? Huh? Okay? So, in Buddhism, the Buddha sends his bodhisattva disciples to become patriarchs. They're all bodhisattvas, by the way. When you see here the name patriarch, a patriarch name in front of a monk's or nun's name, that's a patriarch. That's a bodhisattva. What are they supposed to do? They're doing, it's okay, son. You're not a bodhisattva, you won't be able to answer. Okay? The bodhisattvas do something that non-bodhisattvas cannot. Yeah, what do they do? Spy number 2.
I have no wisdom, so I do not know, Master.
Channel 1, yes.
Anyone knows what Channel 1 stands for? Bosco. I'm so narcissistic. So I think the way how I look at Bodhisattva is they are social workers, period. They help.
They help. Okay.
Social workers, period.
So there's God. God helps. You think God doesn't help his people?
Ask him.
Well,
He's qualified
sometimes
to answer.
God helps the LA Rams and doesn't help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sometimes it happens. Okay.
But they help they help with interjections.
Yeah, nice try. Anyone else? Yes, Lily. Give her a microphone. We still have only 4 microphones, 5 microphones, 6 microphones. Okay, 9. Oh, that's why I saw number 9, yes. Yes, 9.
께서 지금 KBS, CBS 이렇게 하시는 게 우리는 너무 즐겁고요. 그게 우리의 부처란 함이란 마음자리라고 하는데 놔두시면서 CBS, KBS 넘버 1 이렇게 말씀하시는 게 놔툼이 아니신가 해서 굉장히 즐거웠고요. 마치 우리가 기자회견하는 것처럼 그렇게 즐거웠습니다. 네, 그게 이제 저희 공부가 아닌가 이렇게 다 놔툼으로 이렇게 나오신다고 지금 말씀하시는 게요.
Master, I'm very pleased to hear that you mentioned number 1, number 2, CBS, ABC. I'm very pleased to hear that. I think it is the manifestation of Buddha.
Is it a lot more than that? Repeat that, please. A lot got lost here.
지금 마스터께서 저희에게 그 마이크 잡으신 분들한테 마음대로 이렇게 KBS 또 CBS 넘버 1 마음대로 이렇게 말씀을 하시는 것 같아요. 마음자리에서 나오시는 것대로. 근데 저희는 그것을 보고 새롭게 지금 법회를 여니까 굉장히 즐거웠고요. 그게 부처의 놔툼 아닌가 지금 그 생각이 듭니다.
I think what you are really talking to, CBS, ABC, that kind of thing is kind of manifestation of Buddha's mind.
Okay. Okay, close. Very good. Anyone else? Yes, KBC.
For the Buddhist, how do I say this? Maybe the bodhisattvas are more like for them, for like they, maybe they have some wisdom.
Very good. Very good. He should be Buddhist. Yes, number 2.
From what I understand, the bodhisattvas really have one job to become Buddhas, and that's to save living beings. So the fact that they saving living beings probably is possibly what you're talking about.
Okay. Can I present to you in my perspective slightly different from yours? Because yours like Catholic or Buddhist and so forth. Mine's more worldly, if you will. Non-Buddhist, whatever. Yeah, whatever. You call it non-Buddhist, Buddhist, it's only a name. We embrace them all, remember? Bodhisattvas do something that we cannot. Okay? They give us, it's a word that begins with the character F. Huh? Faith. Who else? Faith. What else? I remember the clue is a worldly perspective, non-Buddhist. Please don't quote me. It's just between us, okay? Because most of you are non-Buddhists anyway, or have the level of wisdom of non-Buddhists. Huh? What's that? F. Yeah, go through the dictionary quickly. F. What's the word F? Okay, freedom. Okay, who else? Come on. Where's your vocabulary? I mean, my vocabulary is bigger than yours? Really? Seriously? I'm not even English. I'm not even white. Huh? Food. Some kind of obsession there. What? F. Fortune, okay. So Korean. What else, huh? Feng Shui, okay. No, you'd never guess this word. This is why I told you it's worldly. It's the clue. What's worldly? Fun. Believe it or not, Bodhisattvas can give us great fun. The kind of fun that you don't get from the worldly things. What kind of fun is that? The fun of leg pain. Somebody is so sick. Yes, one.
It should be a certified happiness, according to your book on page 120. Over there, talk about the introduction of Zen.
Yeah,
on page
BSing.
120.
Is there no such a thing on 127?
It's a
Anyone
certified
else?
happiness.
Anyone else? Don't believe him.
Emptiness.
Emptiness is not fun. What are you talking about? What kind of nonsense is this? Since when is emptiness fun? Huh? Yeah? Go. Two. Quickly. This is important.
Fun of the Dharma.
Fun of the Dharma, okay? Here, the one thing that everyone likes, almost everyone, the fun of discovery. Here's what happens in Buddhism. They tell you about these things you don't understand at all. You say, in third dhyana, okay, your coarse thoughts stop. And you say, coarse thoughts? What's coarse thoughts? What's coarse thoughts? For God's sake, someone tells me what's coarse thoughts. Huh? And them say, I don't know. You know, you ask my disciple, so why don't you ask me? Okay, coarse thoughts. Okay, so this is in the Buddhist sutras. This is all the Buddhist teachings. So you read, you learn about this, and you say, third dhyana, coarse thoughts, stop. What are coarse thoughts? Someone tells me. Spy, go, find out what it is. Can you see that? So when you get the third dhyana and say, Someone tells you, you got the third dhyana. I say, third dhyana? What's third dhyana? Third dhyana, third dhyana is coarse thoughts stop. Okay? And I'm in third dhyana. What happens? You discovering what coarse thoughts mean to you. What are your coarse thoughts? Sound familiar? Yeah? Yeah? Yes, 7.
Master, so if we are not at third dhyana, we wouldn't know, the lower one wouldn't know what are the course thoughts then.
Precisely. None of your business. That's why I keep on telling Tien Guo, none of your business. What's the point of me telling you about coarse thought when you're so far away from it? Huh? You're at least 100, 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000, and 1 million lifetimes away. So what's the point in telling you? What? I mean, because if I tell you, you get frustrated. Like you tell a kid, you will, let me tell you about geometry. The kid said, geometry? What are you talking about? All I want right now is ice cream. You two, go ahead.
Tien Guo asks, Master...
Speaking of the wolf.
Master, what do you think of the 41st patriarch of the Tiantai school? Do you recommend to draw close and to learn from patriarch?
I don't know who that person is. Easy answer. Yes, number 1.
What Apple brought up is similar to this morning. Like when an audience from YouTube gets stuck on stage 1 or stage 2, how can he get over it?
Who's stuck on number 1, number 2?
I mean, I assume there's a certain level he has achieved.
Yes.
Right? That sounds like a level 1 to me.
No, what I'm trying to convey to you is from my 15 years of teaching people, okay? I tell them about theory, first dhyana, second dhyana, third dhyana, fourth dhyana, fifth samadhi, and so forth, okay? I tell them once, and I pay attention to who's curious, okay? And I say, most of them would decide that, he's full of it, so they drop out. But the people hang around, they say, that sounds interesting, okay? So they're curious about that. And so when they get there, when they get there and you tell them you get there and they say, that's it. That kind of fun there, okay, is unique in itself. The fun of knowledge, the fun of discovery. It's fun. It's so much fun, trust me. I only tell you about the small things. When I tell you about, for example, seeing your nature in Chan meditation, you see your nature. Okay? Or you see God. Okay? That's easy. It's not a big deal to see God, I think. Not I want to see him. Okay, or see, Wan Yin Bodhisattva, big deal. Okay, but when you hear about this, you see your nature, or you become enlightened. Okay, and you wonder about that. How come these others are enlightened? I'm not. Okay, or why they get to third stage arhat? I'm not. Okay, why do we keep on telling these people that they're third stage, they're fourth stage, and they're so and so and so? Okay? What's the big deal? And why have they changed so much from the day I met them to now there's third stage arhat? They're different. What happened? So you have all these things that are milestones that the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas tell us about these milestones. They say that's a very significant milestone. Never mind about all the things, the temple and the clothes and the food and so forth. Excuse me. But this is this state of being, this state of mind, called fourth stage Arhat. The state of mind called egoless, where you experience, where all your sufferings are put to an end. It's no more suffering, but only bliss. Aren't you curious? I'm so curious. I can't wait to get there. You know what I mean? If the Buddha says, I came to this world to teach you how to become egoless and put an end to all your suffering and experience pure bliss, and it happens at fourth stage Arhat, in my mind, I said, where do I sign up? You know what I mean? Because it seems like in my entire life, no matter how much I believe in Allah, how much I believe in Muhammad, I believe in the Pope, I'm still so afflicted. I still suffer so much. No matter how much I love my wife, my girlfriends, my dogs, I hate cats. I'm still suffering. No? Aren't you curious? I'm serious. I'm asking you. Aren't you curious? Wouldn't you want to know what it's like to be free from suffering? To be happy once for all? And never suffer again? Aren't you? That's what bodhisattvas do. They pave the way for us to get there. Why? Because the fun you experience is incomparable. It's inconceivable. It's incredible. It's infinite. It's what? Indescribable, ineffable, in what?
In heaven, so he said.
In heavenly. Okay? You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but for me, that's what drives me to do this. Because I say, if I work hard and these bodhisattvas and the great beings that work so hard, there must be something worthwhile for them to put down the money, the sex, the food, the red cars, then the comfort, and so forth. There must be something better. Yes? Aren't you curious? And bodhisattvas appear to our world in order to certify that, yes, I experience this, and there's a way for you to get there. And by the way, it's not just you. Look at all the people who got there. The I is certified to get there already. Aren't you curious? And when these people got there, what happens? They say, wow, it's well worth it. My God, Before, for me, fun is about to go see a movie. James Bond, when is it coming out? By the way, Olympics, anyone? Huh? Okay? To me, before, it was fun is like that. To me, before, meaning of life is to go on a date, get rich, huh? And then, but never anything like enlightenment or selfless and egoless, okay? Anyone can get, can win the super lotto, go to Vegas. Now, how many people can get to a 4-stage arhat? You're among rare company, privileged company. You belong to this special club that I'd like to know what it's like. Because it seems those people who've been certified, they refuse to tell me about it. They won't tell me anything. They say, yeah, it's kind of cool. That's all they tell us. Whereas the millionaires and billionaires, what do? Once they become millionaires and billionaires, they get on TV and they say, let me teach you how to become a millionaire. Let me teach you how to become a billionaire. Just pay for the course here. Give me money. I will teach you to be just like me. Okay? Whereas these people, when they reach that state of egoless, the state of enlightenment, what do? They just smile softly and say, oh, I don't know. I don't know. What's it like? Would you like to know what it's like? How about you go there and see it for yourself? That's invariably what happens to all these people. None of them came back and said, Wanyan Bodhisattva, I'm so disappointed. You pulled my legs all these lifetimes. I followed you. I gave up my fortune, my life, my husband, my children, my Nazi heritage. And what do I get? Total, utter disappointment. You promised me to bring that I will have meaning in my life. And what do I get? Deception. You've been conning me all this time. In our history of Buddhism, no arhat ever said that. No practical Buddha ever denounced the Buddha. No Bodhisattva ever denounced the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas. Never. Only, if you will, forgive my coarse language, losers announce and denounce and accuse and slander the other people. You notice that? Only losers do that. And these people are so unhappy. That's why they have to denounce people. That's why they have to criticize others. That's why they have to slander others. Because that's how they release the craziness. Otherwise, they go crazy. The pressure is too much. They have to. Who said that there will be no noise? I use special effects. Haven't you noticed? What if scare alone, you see? If I had a windscreen, it would not be as offensive to Alon. YouTube question, go ahead.
Yangal asks, Master, doesn't one need to have blessings in order to be curious about Buddhahood and the different bliss stages?
I guess you're not among those people. Okay, this is tremendously rewarding. That's all I can tell you. All these people, they don't tell us anything. Why not? Because you wouldn't understand. It's indescribable. There's no way to explain it to you. You have to experience yourself. If you can't, it's your fault, not ours. If you don't have what it takes, try again. But it's real to these people. And that joy of discovery of the state of egolessness, the state of bliss of when you reach enlightenment, this clarity of mind right here is unbelievable. So Bodhisattvas gave us great fun. That's a great rewards, not just small things, like money, like promotions, like recognition, like kids. Yuck. Think about it. Great fun, great joy. It is in your heart that you discover it. It's there in your heart. But now, right now, you cannot experience yet, but it's there for you to experience. It's there. It's not from the outside. It doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from the church. It doesn't come from God. It's inside of you already. It doesn't come from Allah. The Pope cannot give it to you. Buddhists cannot give it to you. All you have to do is uncover it. See that? It's fantastic. And that's the big challenge right there, folks. You're going to go after small things like food, like girlfriend with a small car. No. Go for something bigger. You're setting your goals too low, folks. You should say, someone tells you, because so-and-so said so. I say, but so-and-so is not Manjushri, number 1 wisdom. So-and-so is not Master YongHua, number 10 in wisdom. Okay? It's not the Buddhas. Okay? Because there is degrees of authenticity, of wisdom, because they know these people based on the ranking. In Buddhism is so hierarchical. The Buddhas are number 1. And then you have Manjushri, Universal Worthy, number 2, and so forth, okay? And then Master YongHua, number 10, and so forth. The 10th level. You know what I mean? So that's why in Buddhism, when we see number 1, we say, oh, yes, number 1. Number 2, channel 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so forth. So each level has their own degrees of accuracy, authenticity, if you will. Okay? It's a known hierarchy in Buddhism. It's not faked, cannot be faked. It's verified as well. It's fun, folks. It's nothing comparable at all. Why do you think these losers signed up for it? Because they have nothing else worthwhile to do. They have so many blessings. They said, money, not enough for me. Love, it's not enough for me. What else is there in life? Food, it's not enough for me. Okay? They like that because they have the blessings not to be drawn to petty things. You know what I mean? They are not turned on by those small things. They're turned on by this big thing called, this great fun called egolessness, called the bliss when you experience, when you become enlightened. That's incredible. And they said, I am worth it. That's what I want to shoot for, not the small things. How do you get there? Because these people, these losers, were generals, kings, queens, emperors, many times already. And you said, after that, they said, what's gold? Gold is nothing to me because I used to have so much of it. I don't want to have the same thing again. They're too heavy. They're too cumbersome. You have gold, you have to hire security guards to keep the gold. How annoying is that? Gold thing. I don't know why people are so attracted to money and gold. They're a nuisance. You see? That's the answer to the Chingo's question. You that greed for gold and money and fame have been satisfied already. That's why it no longer turns you on. That's how you become a loser like them. They decide to be losers. They said, no, I don't want fame. I don't want my mother's jewelry. I don't want my father's stocks. I want something better than that, more fun than that. So you agree with me? My conclusion is fun, isn't it? Don't think it's just something that's so out of this world where it doesn't make sense to you anymore. No, it's more fun than any fun that you ever experienced before. Yes, number 2.
Yeah, I just want to say, ever since I came to the temple from the very beginning, I always thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, I could be doing a lot more different things right now. It's the weekend, but every weekend I really prefer to come to the temple just because it's so much fun.
Amen. Number 1. I'm so touched by the sincerity.
Yeah, totally agree with what you said. I experienced the same thing. And I wanted to ask, with the fun you describe it, is it available with interjections or only with left home monk?
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
There's no discrimination between left home and lay people in terms of fun. Everyone's entitled to fun. We are all entitled to the pursuit of fun. Unalienable right to pursue fun.
But you guys
That's the constitution of Buddhism.
But you guys may have more fun than laity?
For my disciples, yes. For Master Shinwa disciples, the laity have more fun than the Sangha. Go figure. 50 years, it's lay people have more fun than the Sanghas. So I said, that's got to change. I will make sure that Sanghas have more fun than lay people. Otherwise, none of you would lead a home life anymore. Okay? And that's why in my generation, some of the lay people I know look at the left home people and say, really? This is what I'm going to become like you? Oh, please. What's fun in that? So that's why we make sure that in order to experience that fun, my disciples, my left home disciples, will have to be losers first. You lose all the greed for worldly things in order to have that kind of fun, experience that kind of fun, that kind of reward. You have to let go of worldly things first. Okay, I don't know how we got here. Yeah, so that's why in Buddhism, the difference in Buddhism is that you have these bodhisattvas who appear in the world to pave the way for us to have more fun than before. Okay, that we ourselves know. And once we know, naturally we shut up. We don't say anything anymore. So people who say, like me, haven't experienced it yet. That's why I'm still trying to sell it to you. You know what I mean? I promise you it'll be so much fun. Just pay for the course. I used to be fascinated by that. Stayed up until 2 or 3 in the morning and watch all these courses in real estate investments where some kind of loser realtors would say, hey, I'm a millionaire. Look at all the girls clad in bikinis next to me and the yacht I have. I watched all those shows, by the way, and signed up for a few courses myself. I realized how much a loser I was, how to write CDs, buy real estate. How to buy houses with 0 down payment and so forth. Oh, good Lord. I've been through all that myself. It's miserable, let me tell you. Even those who claim to have 500 properties, okay, they inherited from the parents. I look at them and say, you're not having fun, are you? Anyway. That's a world of real estate for you. Yes, Catholic.
I have a little question. So, back to my original question, actually, because I'm still very curious. So, according to your teachings, where the Aga started exactly? Where is the beginning point?
Okay, so the answer to the question that's still unanswered is that how did it begin? Okay, it's no point in telling you where it all began because you cannot see it. You And thank you for reminding me. You should see it for yourself when you become a Buddha. Even bodhisattvas cannot see it. Okay? So even bodhisattvas don't talk about it. They don't say, there's beginningless beginning, or whatever. Okay? They don't talk about it because they themselves can't see it. The only time you can see is when you become a Buddha yourself. Okay? So what happened is that in Buddhism, there is this echelon of things that we can verify as we progress. And the one thing that how it all began, only the Buddhas can see it. Bodhisattvas cannot. Okay? So even bodhisattvas cannot. How can I? So I can't answer that. But according to the Buddhist teaching, when you become a Buddha, you see it yourself. Oh, my goodness. Oh God, look how wonderful it is. That's then beginningless beginning that I learned about for so long. I've been yearning to find out, and now I see it. You see what I mean? It's just like a computer that runs out of bits, so it cannot, I cannot process a larger number anymore. That's the same thing, same concept. Bodhisattvas still have limitations. Buddhas becomes infinite. That's why I can see the beginning. Okay, there must be a limit of number of questions per. You go ahead. We used to be strict, didn't we? We said like one hard question at a time. Yeah, that classified as a one hard question because I couldn't answer beginningless. What is that? I don't know. But I can tell you that when I find out, the fun I have would be far greater than I have right now. I assure you. That is my belief. Because Bodhisattvas say so. KABC.
So that means that there was a beginning then, and there is also an end?
To put it simply for you, when you become a Buddha, time has no beginning, no end. It's not a good answer. It's the Buddhist form answer, if you will. Standard answer is no beginning, is no end. There's no more notion of time. The reason you have a notion of time is because you're not in samadhi. You have two states, samadhi and non-samadhi. Bodhisattvas don't have that state. The Bodhisattvas still have the enter samadhi and exit samadhi. So as Buddhas, they're always in samadhi. That's why it's no more beginning or end. Is that clear? So that's why unless you're Buddha, you don't know. Because until you become Buddha, you still have, should I enter samadhi or should I not? Right? Even at all levels, we can decide ourselves. Should I enter samadhi right now because it's too hot? Let's enter samadhi and forget about the heat and save ourselves $500,000. Did you realize it? $500,000 to just install AC in this church. Isn't it crazy or what? $500,000. I said, I'd rather die of heat first. What would Gu Yin think if I spent $500,000 buying air conditioner just for Sundays? Huh? She would run back to her own temple. That's what she would do. Number 8.
Mô Phật bà Thầy. Bà Thầy không cần bỏ đâu. Miễn mà Thầy mà có cái định lực thì Thầy đã bảo vệ được hết rồi. Bây giờ giống cái người đó đi. Nên là bây giờ thầy kêu làm cái bài vị 100.000 đi, người ta sợ quá chừng. Thầy kêu người đó làm cái bài vị 100.000 thì thí dụ thầy cái người đó đã tiêu cái nghiệp rồi, là một cái thứ nhất. Cái thứ nhì đó, thầy người đó tiêu cái nghiệp rồi đó, ủa tôi hết 100.000 rồi sao? Thứ hai nữa, thầy phải đi độ được cái người đó. Thầy cái người đó, thầy nó được vô được một cái định Bồ Tát, thì cái người đó nó đâu còn khổ nữa thầy. Mô Phật theo con hiểu như vậy đó Mô Phật.
Okay, so I will translate because this is a lot of nonsense. I want you to understand this kind of nonsense these people think about. Okay, she says, I don't need to install AC. Okay, because I don't need it. Because since I don't need it, it's my responsibility to help all of you so that all of you don't have to experience suffering and heat and so forth. For example, this bothers her. It's been bothering her for at least 6 months. For example, if you tell us to get $100,000 plaques, okay, that itself should be, it should arise from the blessings we have, even for you to bring it up. And that should be enough. Therefore, we don't even need to buy the plaque. And we should get all the benefits ourselves, because that's who you are. My answer is, no, I'm not. Dream on, girl. All right? These Chiu-Chow people, they have so much nonsense. Okay, anyway, so are we done here? You see, remember, whenever you enter samadhi, notice in how you don't have any more notion of time. There's like, often people tell me, I enter samadhi and I open my eyes, all of a sudden, 45 minutes went by, 1 hour went by, because you have no more notion of time. Okay? That's what happens. It's the same thing. Buddhas, they're always in samadhi. That's why there's no more time for them. Okay? Unlike us. All right. Deeds of the present life. Let's try to finish this. Okay? A present life, meaning that it's now they're here. Now they're Buddha. Now they're Bodhisattva. Now they're Patriarch. What are they doing? Okay? That would inspire us to do it as well. Okay? And it turns out the deeds of present life is very important because we heard of past lives' deeds and we said, wow, I wish I was there so that I could learn from him. That's why I could help him. I could protect him. Or I would love to give birth to him, be his mother. It would be such an honor. Okay? I'll be his son. It'll be fantastic. Okay? Get all the great genes. My DNA will have a label, Buddha's DNA. Wouldn't you like to have that? Of course we would. So we got greedy when hearing past lives. And then all of a sudden you hear about, that's a great Bodhisattva there. That's a Buddha and the Bodhisattva in the flesh. I think he's a Guan Yin Bodhisattva. Okay? So that's in present life. That's why you hurry up. Okay, you say, wow, please teach me, please help me, please, please liberate me, please help me discover that fun that I've been thirsting for, I've been craving for. Okay? That's the purpose of talking about the present life. Number 3, one more is expansions, Fan Guang. Okay? Meaning that this is particular applies to the teaching between Agama period and the Prajna period in between. Okay? Agama is when you learn to become egoless, become an arhat, a practical Buddha, and then there's enlightenment. So between them, there's a gap, huge gap. So the Buddha says, don't be alarmed. I'm going to tell you something that's even you, fourth-stage Arhat, cannot understand. You, Pratyeka Buddha, have no clues. Okay? And that's called expansions. What you learned from before, I will expand that and tell you it's only a partial picture. It's not the whole picture yet. So let me elaborate and give you a more full view of where you're going. That's called expansion. All right? So expansions are designed to hook the sound hearers, bring them to enlightenment. Is that clear? All right. So expansions are not for everyone. Okay? Only certain people are qualified to listen to it. Okay? To receive the teaching. What is here hitherto unknown. So he uncovers new territories. Okay? Something called enlightenment, something called Buddha nature, and so forth. So these are things that are unknown before. Okay? And finally, explanations. Explanation here is you elaborate on the actual, let's say, principles. The Buddha says the non-obstructions of specifics and specifics. Then he goes by explaining what it is. Okay? Don't be scared. This is what it means. And although it's difficult for you to understand, but don't worry. That's part of the planting the seeds for you to have this great, great wisdom that's going to unfold later. Okay? And which I'm only reminding you. Okay? You know it already. You just forgot about it. I'm reminding you. Okay? So those are the 12 categories of the Buddhist teachings. And this Avatamsaka Sutra has all these dharmas. Okay? And there's also, he talked about classified by chapter, classified by assembly. Okay? There are 9 assemblies in 7 places. Okay? So 9 and 7. These are the common knowledge about about the specifics of the Avatamsaka Sutra. The 9 assemblies mean their sutra explained 9 times. Okay, at 7 different places. You mean 9 groups of followers. Okay, they are assembled at 7 different locations. So these teachings appeals to 9 different types of audiences, okay, that will gather at 7 different places. So maybe not all of them will show up, okay, but the different types of places, and they are gathered. In particular, first of all, there's a Bodhi way place. That's the Bodhi tree where he was enlightened. Number 2, Universal Light Palace. I believe Universal Light Palace is the Jeta Grove right there. Okay. After the Buddha became Buddha, he explained the Avatamsaka Sutra at the Bodhi tree right there without moving. And then later on, after years later, his Sudana offered the Jeta Grove. He bought it from the Prince Jeta, so he called Jeta Grove, and offered to the Buddha so that the Buddha has a way place where he can preach and his sermons, teach his disciples, who has thousands of constant disciples. So that's called Universal Light Palace. Number 3, he flew up to Trayastrimsha, meaning the heaven of our friends God here. Okay, Trayastrimsha is 33. heaven of 33, meaning that it's the top of Mount Sumeru. These people, they don't have that eye, but in us Buddhists, those are you Buddhists who have heavenly eyes, you can see at the top of Mount Sumeru, there's a heaven called the heaven of 33, or Trayastrimsha, where the Christian God resides. So that Buddha, that at top of that Mount Sumeru there, okay, in the center, there is the Christian God palace, and then on 4 corners, okay, that there are 8 heavens in each direction, east, west, north, south, and so that's why 8 times 4 is 32, plus 33, which is the Christian God's palace himself. So in Buddhism, in this particular sutra, and you probably don't want to comment to those lectures, we'll be explaining about this particular heaven itself. So in Buddhism, the Buddhists tell us about what these things in advance. And then the Buddhist disciples, they open their eyes, they fly up there and they say, oh yeah, look at God, look how how handsome he is. And that kind of thing. All the food he eats, he's still so handsome. And his women are so gorgeous. Yes, number one.
Just curious. None of us been there, but just want to know, since we talk about fun today, when you're referring to heaven, there's so many different level and layers and direction. Do they have different level of fun, or is all universal?
I don't know. You have to ask God.
Yeah, thank you.
I imagine it's different. Because God can have, don't tell him, more wives than non-gods. The God King has lots of babes, more than regular kings. Remember the 8 king heavens in those? They also have smaller kings. They also have gorgeous women as well, but not as many. Or not as they don't have the same abilities as God. God can. You find out later. It's fantastic. Just don't tell him, okay? It's not for everyone. It requires a lot of faith. So the Buddha, is funny way, describes this heaven. That's why we know so much more about their own heavens than they know. Because you remember, they want to keep it like secretive so that it's like such a big deal and so forth. In Buddhism, it's a small thing for us. It's just a little bit of fun. It's not the main course. It's like appetizers. You know what I mean? That's why in Buddhism, once you know about all these different types, levels of fun, you say, wow. If you keep on hearing about that, one day you say, oh, I experienced level 1, level 2, level 3, and so forth and so forth. Say, hey, what about egolessness? What it's like? You begin to believe yourself. And that's what happens in Buddhism. Once you reach a certain point, it's irreversible. You believe it. Especially you go into the Arhat range. First stage Arhat is irreversible. Okay? You say, yeah, that's fun to me. Yeah, I begin to see it now. Before, I have no clues. Before, I was so impressed by the red cars and the wine and the handsome man and so forth. But oh my God, this is fun. I'm so free. I don't need anyone else to tell me what to do. I know what's good for me. Number 4. Oh, time is up. Let's stop here today. Thank you, everyone. Sayonara. Let's do the rebirth transference.